Welcome to Revelland. My name is Esther and I'll be your host today. In this video series, we show you how to be creative, imaginative, inspiring, and transform how you think about your music and gigs forever. Let's transform your live show into an immersive experience that is open to everyone. To make sure this video series is accessible to people with various disabilities, we'll use visual descriptions.
My name is Esther. I'm a white woman in Dublin and we are recording today in a huge old building, very atmospheric, lots of beams, brick wall behind me. I'm surrounded by flowers of all different colours. I'm wearing a navy dress with white and red stitching. I've got some gold hoop earrings on and a little scarf around my neck because it's kind of chilly today. And I'm joined by Sarah McCartney, who is a scent expert, writer and creator of 4,160 Tuesdays, an artisanal perfumery based in London. So welcome, Sarah. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Sarah McCartney. I am a white, brown-haired, middle-aged woman wearing a burgundy top and a little silver pendant with a fluffy bit of sheep's wool in that I can scent. I'm sitting here in my studio in London, surrounded by perfume and perfume-making materials. Against the clean white wall, everything else looks fantastically untidy, but it has some order to it, at least in my head.
Sarah, venues often have their own unique olfactory experience. So how do artists and musicians enhance or bring their own scent and sense of who they are into venues? Can you give us practical examples?
We've perfumed we've scented an opera, a Handel oratorio in a big ex-church in London, and they had a budget of sort of nothing. So actually what we did was put them in like little squirty room fragrance bottles, ran around the venue at the beginning and made the whole place smell like a fresh garden. And then at the interval, we had to run around the balcony spraying the smell of doom and gloom and blood and guts and rocks and mud into the auditorium for the second half, which is very miserable. And then when the audience came back in again, you could see them just and hear them gasp with astonishment as they realized that the whole place had changed, but they didn't really know why. But the conductor wanted the smell of impending doom. So that's quite an unusual one.
So for a band starting out, what things could they do to enhance their live experience and to add scent if that's what they wanted to do?
Well, I kind of recommend for smaller venues and if you're going to be fairly up close to the band, that they cover themselves in the fragrance that they want to represent the feeling. I know actors who wear fragrances, put something on before they go on stage to get themselves into the right feeling that they want. So if the band wants to project a certain feeling, something that they're feeling, maybe what they need is to find an aroma that represents that for them. Also, you can have your crew covering themselves with a fragrance, and we've done this with BitterSuite, who do multisensory events. You know, probably you've already interviewed Steph Singer, but we work with Steph on this. And we had people taking cloths out of boxes, wearing cloths and going around the audience, and the things that just don't cost a lot of money. So you can take a small amount of fragrance, it lasts a long time on fabric, hence me wearing my piece of fluffy sheep's wool. Wool is great if you're not vegan. It's great for absorbing and holding fragrance. As anybody will know, if they've worn a scarf, put it away for spring, got it out again in autumn, it'll still smell of fragrance months later. So you can have that atmosphere. You can have something just blasting slightly at the entrance to a venue, so that and you can get little nebulizers for 20 euros or something from the cool little Japanese shop whose name I've forgotten, but then they're not terrifically expensive to buy, and you can just put a fragrance you like or an essential oil, and as somebody's walking into the room, they then will get a sense that there is change as you go from the entrance into the venue, and it just kind of makes you think, oh, what's that then? Sets the mood.
That's brilliant, yeah. I suppose that is, if your favourite singer or performers wear a certain scent, you could sell it in for your merch afterwards, and you could kind of cash in on that as well, I suppose. Yeah, that's really interesting. It's really good.
I've got a Japanese band friends called Buffalo Daughter, and I did them some fragrances. So they wear them, and then they have them in their merch as well.
Sarah, so what can scent add generally to the live experience? Can it really invoke emotions?
So if you can get together something, there are a lot of indie perfumers around who would just love to create a new aroma, something nobody smelt before, so it could be associated with that place. But yeah, there was an experience in London in the 1950s, a kind of history of London with smell, and they used smoke to evoke the Great Fire of London of 1666. But the smoke smell never left the building. And what you had is a lot of tourists sitting in there going, oh, I think we're on fire. But, nobody wants that feeling, unless you want it on purpose during the course of the whole event. So beware. You can't make everyone feel the same thing with the fragrance because it depends on their own experience. But, smell of cut grass generally evokes pleasant spring-like outdoor feelings.
So you do run a slight risk. Generally, people like the smell of fresh cut grass, but there is going to be one person who had a horrific mowing experience when they were younger, so they're not going to like that. But that's the risk you take.
Exactly. But if you have the smell of fresh cut grass, there's one I did which was to evoke a kind of bouncy sound, and we used that with a sort of bubblegum smell, as if you had bouncy balls up and down popping, and so we used that with some kind of melon-like aromas, because there's some beautiful aroma chemicals which are completely totally safe, much safer than essential oils. Misunderstanding about essential oils, dangerous. So you can use some lovely aroma chemicals to create a brand new smell, which might have a little bit of fresh cut grass in it, a little bit of lightness and lemoniness maybe, but not enough to be exactly that thing. So, I'm not saying please go out and spend lots of money, but having your own individual aroma that nobody's ever smelt before, it's not that difficult to do, and it will forever be associated with that. So if you go back to another gig and you have the same aroma, people, oh yeah, that band, I like that band.
Yeah, that's interesting. So for the creators themselves, they can associate different scents with different projects, and if they're playing a particular gig, they can get a little blast of the scent, and that'll bring them back into that space perhaps. Yeah, it's like when you suddenly so if you go into a school and you go, and you get that feeling like, I don't know how to write. And then it sort of takes you back. The people who don't have a sense of smell, kind of, they wish they had that ability to time travel backwards that normosmics have. So that it can do that thing, but it can take you somewhere very quickly, very unexpectedly. And so if it's never been smelt before, it can only take you to where you've been and smelt it. Perfect, Sarah. Thank you so much for talking to us today. That was so interesting. And for more information on this tutorial and to join the community at Revelland, go to discoverrevelland.today.